Take me down to the riverbed. Take me down to the fighting end. Wash the poison from off my skin. Show me how to be whole again. Fly me up on a silver wing, past the black where the sirens sing. Warm me up in the Nova's glow, and drop me down to the dream below. 'Cause I'm only a crack in this castle of glass. Hardly anything there for you to see, for you to see. Bring me home in a blinding dream, through the secrets that I've seen. Wash the sorrow from off my skin, and show me how to be whole again. 'Cause I'm only a crack in this castle of glass. Hardly anything there for you to see.
And guess who's ready for you? Thomas, start the show, baby. Woo!
Good evening. Good evening, Patriots. And we the people, those of you that are tuning into America Strong Patriot Talk, I am your host, Thomas Pascal. We got lots to cover, but first of all, didn't y'all see how many Democrats dropped out of the race? Klobuchar, let's see, who else? Steyer, and no other than Pete Buttigieg, the one who I'm not going to get too personal there, but Barack Obama and him had a chat after Pete dropped out of the race. Was it a chat or was it a chat? If you know what I mean. Going into the back room, yeah, gotta calm down from losing that race. Oh, trust me. So, but besides that, let's talk about the coronavirus. I'm not gonna talk about much about it, but one of my sources have told me that as of right now, we have 8 dead in America. The death toll is rising. 66 cases have been reported. It's just, I have to admit, this thing is spiraling out of control. I mean, it really is, folk. And to see that the media is not really covering much of the BS, Amazon has just sold out of gas masks. Stores are freaking just being looted left and right. And what I mean by that, foods, shelves are getting empty by the day, folk, because of the whole coronavirus pandemic. And folk, I'm telling you this, the time is now to prepare because the military is on standby. That's all what I can say for that part. But I'm telling you, the American people, if this thing does end up hitting us as what is being predicted right now, just y'all got to be prepared. Have emergency foods, have water, whatever y'all have, because the time to be prepared for this is now. Yes, we're seeing the fulfillment of Agenda 21 being worked. It is a work in progress, folks. But another thing I want to bring up, there was a book called, I'm trying to think of the name of it. I think The Darkest Hour or something, but it had a deal about this virus that was made in Wuhan, China, and how bad it was supposed to spread in 2020. And this book was made in 1984. So there's some questions. This was planned. This was predicted. So, but to see this biological weapon being activated from China, spreading across the globe from sea to China Sea, country to country. Let's look at South Korea. Let's look at Asia. Let's look at Israel, the Middle East. This thing's just on fire. And, folk, I'm hearing that FEMA's already preparing to take in at least a million or so to millions. And with FEMA already operating out here in Alabama, well, I don't live in Alabama. I live out here in the beautiful Rocky Mountains, and even though the state is filled with radical liberals, it's okay. Because wearing this hat and this shirt keeps me smiling and keeps them pissed off. And hey, why not continue to piss off the liberals? But back on this subject, though, with the whole coronavirus, there's there's people that are coming in from these airplanes that are walking into these places that don't want to get checked. Why? Why are they afraid to get checked? Who knows? Unless they're here for a mission. Because one person that has the virus, and if this person is out like in a major city, for instance, Denver, Colorado, that one person can affect everyone around him. There was a 70-year-old who died in California. He had no travel history, which right now that person is under investigation. They're trying to find out who he was around because this guy had no travel history. He never traveled out of the country, but to know that the coronavirus is airborne. The thing is it it's spreading it's spreading as a wildfire. And folk, the containment, the vaccines, whatever that the CDC and the government says, oh, there's a vaccine. I really don't believe there's a vaccine. And if there is, we ain't getting it. It's for them. They'll be using it on themselves, which is the truth. But hey, I'm being honest. So, but to see that this virus is spreading everywhere, especially now that it is in the United States, we have to do what we can to protect our families. Yeah, gas mask is being sold off the shelves, food, water, everything's just getting off the shelves. And to see where America is heading, this coronavirus is something that the deep state's trying to use to take down Trump. If if they can try and have the stock market crash, which honestly, today we had an all-time stock market high. The Dow was up pretty good. We were over, I think, 1,500 points, I believe. Something like that. But how do we know that the stocks are going to be good? How do we know that tomorrow that the stock market's going to be down again? We don't know. But to hear that people are getting infected, like look at New York, look at California. I'm hearing that there's reports in Florida now that people are getting the virus. So, and just Friday, I was out at Walmart, and this woman was wearing a mask. I mean, literally a mask like she was sick, and I was like, all right, I'm getting the hell out of here. That virus is, I'm not taking any chances. If you had the flu and all, don't be out in public, folk. If you had the flu, please call 911. Please get checked because this is a serious matter and it's a serious situation. Well, they're the same thing, but more on this coronavirus. It's just to see something spreading like this. I've never seen this in my lifetime, and it seems like for the last 400 years there's been a crazy virus. The 1420s, the 1520s, I believe, the 1620s, the 1720s, the 1820s, 1920s, and now look where we are, 2020. What is up with all these mad viruses coming out of nowhere? Like, what's up with these years? It's kind of interesting. But knowing that the coronavirus is a bioweapon made from the Chinese, it's I've never seen anything mutate like this so fast, and to see a lot of our people getting sick. Not only that, I heard that there's been 4 military soldiers that have gotten the virus, and I'm not going to give out where. I really can't give out much detail about this, but it's just we got to wonder what the hell is going on. How is this virus being spread into all these weird different cities, and the people that are getting it, honestly, some of the people aren't even traveling out of the country. Some of them don't even have travel experience. But from what I was told, that this virus is airborne. And not only that, people who have weak immune systems and all, people who are catching the flu quicker than anything, which I just got over. I ended up having a stomach bug Saturday night, right after Friday night show, but it's alright. I'm doing better. I'm here doing my job like I said I was going to do. Because, hey, you, the American people, need to be informed, but catching the flu, go to the hospital, please. Do whatever it takes. Stay away from other people until you are fully cleared of all symptoms of everything, because, folk, this thing is latching on real quick. So please take every precaution that's necessary. Keep your house clean. Keep good hygiene. Wash your house. Do the whole entire. Keep the place clean and sanitized. So, but with further ado, let's move on to the next subject, because, hey, I want to talk about these Democrats. Look who's left now. We got four. We got Minnie. I got passed around like a porno in a frat house, Bloomberg, to Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, the crazy one, the one who, right now there's a rumor going around saying that Sanders is going to make AOC his vice president. Oh gosh, I wonder how this came about. I wonder what he offered her, or did he give her the burn, if you know what I mean. So, and AOC, knowing how dumb she is, she probably got the burn. And that stupid woman. You take a look at this woman. She says that, oh, the world is going to end in 12 years. Really, Nostradamus? Are you sure that the world is going to end in 12 years? And for her to go around, well, we got to kill babies. Babies should not be living because America's going to end in 12 years. Really? America ain't going to end in 12 years. This chick is just loony. She really needs to get out of government. I mean, seriously. She does more than anything. But, let's see. And then we got the idiot of them all, the one who says, I am running for Senate, and I am in the great state of Florida. Sir, you are in North Carolina. Oh. I thought I was in Florida. No. So, to see this moron, we all know who he is. Joe Biden. Or should I say creepy Joe Biden. He forgets what state he's in, and yet he doesn't forget what. Hunter's nowhere to be found. And sorry about that, phone connection went out for a sec. My connection's good. But seriously, where is Hunter Biden? Oh wait, he's hiding because he knows he got caught, and his ass is going to jail pretty soon. And the only reason why, and I believe this is my opinion, why Joe Biden took South Carolina, one, we already know they're screwing over Sanders. He's a dumb socialist. But besides that, the only reason why Joe Biden is still in this race is because he does not want to be arrested. The Democrats don't want him to be arrested. But unfortunately, after this week, Joe Biden might not be making it. They're going to clip him next. Or, honestly, Sanders. Or Pocahontas. Or Mike Bloomberg. But I don't give a damn, because at the end of the day, we already know Donald Trump is still going to be president, no matter whoever becomes the nominee. Right now, Hillary Clinton is in trouble, and I kind of want to read that post. But before I do, there's something I do want to say to all of y'all. My Facebook got compromised earlier. There were some things said about me, and I need this clear to every single one of you. To all of you patriots. I am not white supremacist. I never have been. I support every color. Like Trump. Trump loves all color. No matter who you are, no matter what race, religion, sex, whatever it's your freedom of speech. You can do whatever the hell you want, unless, well, you're Sanders or whatever. You're one of those dumb nitwits that want to beat us over the side of the head for wearing a Trump hat and the Trump shirt. But I do support LGBT, liberty, guns, beer, and Trump. I really do. So, folk, now that that's out of the open, please continue to support me and and continue to stand your ground with me as we enter this year and as this year continues to be rocky, because it's not just the coronavirus we're dealing with, it's the election, it's the crazy, insane kids that want to vote in socialism, say it's okay to kill their babies. Oh man, it's just, these people are just sick. My body, my choice. Really? If it's your body, then keep your legs closed, because it is your choice to either get knocked up or not. And I'm saying that to all of you liberal women out there that love committing abortions. And I've been hearing that women have died by getting an abortion, and that is sad. But where's the mainstream media? Nowhere to be found. And to see these Democrat candidates, oh well, that woman deserves to have an abortion. And reality is, it's not just white babies they're killing. It's been other color. It's been the Latinos, the Mexicans, the Syrians, blacks, and to see that crap, it's just horrible. That a child should not have to go through that. A woman should not have to go through losing her child, especially that now Governor Northam of Virginia, oh yeah, what a real beauty, the one who tried to take away your guns. And I'm glad all you patriots stood and fought and showed Governor Northam your guns are staying with you, that those gun laws will not be infringed. So, good job out there. But what Governor Northam is doing, he's trying to promote late-term abortion, but in the worst possible way. He's trying to, and I mean, this is far worse than Andrew Cuomo, or whatever his name is, and the other idiot who says, pro-lifers, Donald Trump supporters, those that stand for the anthem, those that love America need to get the hell out of New York. I don't want them here. All right? Then you're going to continue to see that state crumble and fall even worse than what it is then, from what it was then to now. And Governor Cuomo, you are a dickhead, and you do need to resign. And rumor has it, this was another rumor that I've been seeing, that Don Jr. might be running for governor. And you know what? I hope he does. Either that or president, I don't care. Because women, for you that want Ivanka, I'm sorry, Ivanka Trump, no. We cannot have a woman as president. But, that's my opinion. We can, so, no problem. That's your opinion. You're entitled to that. But I think we need to have Don Jr. after Trump Sr. is done with his 8 years. Because we got to keep the legacy going. We got to keep this fight, and we have to continue to make America strong, to continue to bring in safety and security, to keep our military stronger. Because, folk, we're entering a dangerous time, but we're also living in history-making time. And I'm glad to be living in this history, because honestly, we're all going to be in the brand new history books, not the history books that we got in high school and middle school and elementary, being fed with all the political correctness bullcrap. I mean, these history books are going to be real. And I mean real and as best as they are. And trust me, your name might be in it. So, but further ado though, as we continue to talk about this, to see these candidates, these four, what is going to happen? Who is going to become the nominee? Honestly, I think they're all going to get gypped, but at the same time, Hillary Clinton is in some deep water. So let me bring up that news article. Let's kick this off. So let me go here, because this This was a news article that was posted today from trendingpolitics.com. It is a good, reliable source. So, breaking: federal court orders the position of Hillary Clinton on emails and Benghazi records. According to Fox News, a federal judge responded to requests from conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch on Monday, ordering former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to sit down for a sworn disposition and answer questions regarding her use of a classified email server to conduct State Department business. Hillary Clinton has answered questions on this issue in the past. However, D.C. District Court Judge Royce Lamberth did not find her answers satisfactory. As extensive as the existing record is, it does not sufficiently explain Secretary Clinton's state of mind when she decided it would be an acceptable practice to set up and use a private server to conduct State Department business, Lambert said. Acknowledging her previous round of questioning on the issue, the judge explained her written responses were either incomplete, unhelpful, or cursory at best. Simply put, her responses left many more questions than answers, he added. The judge also stated his intention to avoid written responses from Hillary Clinton, adding that written responses will only muddle any understanding of Secretary Clinton's state of mind and fail to capture the full picture. This delaying the final disposition of the case even further. The ruling from the federal judge comes in response to a bombshell finding from Judicial Watch earlier, which noted approximately 30 previously undisclosed Clinton emails that the State Department failed to fully explain. Wow. So, another campaign promise is in the works, folks. Miss Clinton might be going to jail once and for all. And here's the deal: if that happens, I hope she faces the death penalty for all the people that have died because of her, and how many people she have murdered. This woman she's such a nasty woman. She's much worse than that stupid squirt bottle. Alcoholic, I'm gonna rip up Trump's speech at the State of the Union, Pelosi. And folks, it's just, this woman, it's time for this woman to be brought to justice. I mean, it really is. It's time to get Pelosi out of the speaker chair. Let's get Mitch McConnell. Actually, let's get McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy. I would love to see that man. And here's another thing. My message to President Trump: please pardon Roger Stone. Don't let him sit behind bars. That man was innocent. He did not lie. He did not do anything wrong. I've heard a lot of good things about Roger Stone, and for that, Roger Stone does not need to be in prison for something he didn't do. So, and here's another breaking news story. GOP senator plans to subpoena witness linked to Burisma and Hunter Biden. Ooh, but where's Hunter? Who knows? Back on here, though. Ron Johnson, the senator leading the ongoing investigation into Hunter Biden and Burisma, has made an advancement in his probe, mentioning plans to make his first subpoena for Andriy Telezinenko, a former consulate for Blue Star Strategies. Hunter Biden reportedly connected Blue Star Strategies with Burisma in 2016 in an attempt to eliminate investigations of corruption into the Ukraine gas company. In the letter, we learned the Blue Star consulate, Andriy Telezinenko, has already submitted some documents to the committee as part of their investigation. However, some of the information is protected by a non-disclosure agreement with the company. As a result of this, Senator Ron Johnson stated his plans to issue a subpoena in a letter to Democrat Gary Peters. He cannot provide this responsible information unless he is compelled to do so by subpoena. The senator also expressed his concerns in the cooperation of Blue Star Strategies in the investigation. As part of the committee's ongoing investigation, it has received U.S. government records indicating that Blue Star sought to leverage Hunter Biden's role as a board member of Burisma to gain access to and potentially influence matters at the State Department. The committee notified Blue Star that we consider their response to be incomplete, but they responded that they will not be producing any more documents, he added. It is unclear exactly what Andriy Telzinenko did did working for Blue Star Strategies and Burisma from July 2016 to June 2017. But he has reportedly been working closely with Rudy Giuliani in his investigation into the Bidens. Republican senators have been investigating claims for months that Hunter Biden took advantage of his father's position as vice president while working for Ukrainian gas company Burisma Holdings, which has had a long history of allegations of corruption. Following President Trump's acquittal in the Senate, Grassley and Johnson requested documents filed by financial institutions regarding Hunter Biden, his associates, their businesses, and clients from the Treasury Department. And last month, they reportedly provided evidence of a questionable origin on Hunter Biden to the senators. Senators Grassley and Johnson have also requested highly confidential suspicious activity reports that were filed by financial institutions within an agency inside the Treasury Department. Hunter Biden joined the board of Burisma in 2014. At the same time, his father, former Vice President Joe Biden, was working in Ukraine for the Obama administration. Hunter Biden was paid upwards of $80,000 a month on the board of directors for this company with no qualifications, and speculation of corruption against the family grew after Joe Biden bragged about withholding $1 billion to Ukraine in order to get a prosecutor looking into the company fired. Last week, Ukrainian investigators publicly announced an investigation into Joe Biden's role in the firing of the prosecutor looking into Burisma. What are what are your thoughts on this advantage in the probe? Okay, so sorry about that, folk. I thought there was more towards it. But this is just some revelations are coming out, and not only that, did you hear? Oh, this is gonna be the best part. Biden forgets the Declaration of Independence. You know the thing? During a speech on Monday in Texas, here we go. This is the father of the corrupt a-hole. During a speech on Monday in Texas, former vice president and 2020 Democratic Senate candidate. He's not presidential because honestly, he said he was running for the Senate instead of the presidential race, but presidential candidate Joe Biden seemed to forget the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, Biden said. All men and women created by you know who, you know the thing. The former vice president's latest gaffe came on a day when the Democratic Party establishment appeared to coalesce around his candidacy, following Biden's landslide victory in the South Carolina primary Tuesday night. Biden is expected to get a boost on Super Tuesday after Minnesota's Senator Amy Klobuchar, oh gosh, and former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg dropped out. Biden was roundly mocked on social media for appearing to forget America's founding document. Biden gaffes seem to be getting worse, and President Donald Trump is taking notice. On Saturday, during a CPAC speech, President Trump hammered Biden for his common gaffes on the campaign trail. The president specifically shredded the former vice president for his most recent gaffe during the Democratic primary debate when he claimed that 150 million people have been killed by guns in the United States since 2007. How could you be easier to beat than Joe? The guy can't put two sentences together. President Trump said to the crowd. President Trump argued that if Biden were to actually become president, he wouldn't be running the government, but instead he would just go. He would he would just going to be sitting in a home someplace, and people are going to be running it for him. The president then turned his attention towards the media, hammering them for ignoring Biden's frequent giffies. Here's a guy who said they killed 150 million people with guns and nobody even talks about it, President Trump said. If I would have said that, it would have been over. He said, you know, it only takes one little phrase for me, like a little couple of words. If you mispronounce a word, you know with all I speak. They say if you pronounce the word the, he said the. If you mispronounce the, there's something going on. The president continued by recalling the moment where he heard Biden claim that nearly half of America has died from gun violence since 2007. President Trump said that he turned to his wife Melania Trump and joked that the media never even reported on that terrible event. Did he just say they killed 150 million people? President Trump said. That's half of our population. This is a terrible event. We have to find out what's going on. This is bad. This wasn't reported by the fake news. I've got to check that, First Lady. Wow. 150 million people. Wow, Biden. Wow, I didn't realize half of America was shot to hell. But we take a look at these folks, it's just wow. I mean, wow. Biden, I'm sorry, dude. You want my honest opinion about you? It's time for you to go into a nursing home or one of those Alzheimer homes. You know, enough of touching little children, enough saying you like children playing with your leg hairs, and whatever other garbage. Now is the time for you to drop out the race, whatever race you're even in. It's either you're running for the Senate or you're running for president. Either or, you know, you need some help, dude. You're out of control. You're nuts. So please do us, the American people, a favor. Drop out of the race and go to a nursing home. You know, we'll miss you. We'll send you postcards. It's okay because no, we won't. Because soon you don't even need that. You're gonna be in a jail or in a prison, either or. You and your son for all the corruption and the BS that y'all have done over the last 8 years. So, you know, what if President Trump's son was doing this? What if Don Jr. was taking cash from China, 1.5 billion? What if he was in this whole Ukrainian scandal? Where would he be? He would be in jail. But, you know, not only that, the mainstream media would be all over it. They would be like, see, Donald Trump Jr. did this with the Ukraine. He took $1.5, not 1.5 billion, but $1.5 from China. Where would he be? Jail. I mean, he would seriously be in jail. So, folk, as we continue to look at this, these four candidates, especially the pedophile, he's done. He's washed up. He's finished. It's time for him to go. But on the next subject now, we're going to continue looking at this. Because, you know, Crazy Sanders, he's looking at AOC, he's looking at Ilhan Omar. He's trying to do whatever it takes to stay in this race. And don't get me wrong, at least he shows he doesn't have quit in him. But at the end of the day, he's going to end up choking like he did last time in 2016. Like with the whole Russia hoax or whatever else. But who's going to have their foot on his throat? If Clinton goes to jail, who's going to have their foot on Sanders' throat? Because they're trying to do whatever it takes. And my question is, why are they trying to get rid of him? Why don't they want him against Trump? Because honestly, he's just going to be beaten. And knowing that Mike Bloomberg is being endorsed by the crooked Obama and Big Mike, I was being told Mini Mike is getting some from Big Mike. And, this man, he came out and admitted he paid millions of dollars to have the Democrats take the House, have Pelosi the, take, yeah, she became Speaker. And to see Mike Bloomberg, he straight up admitted what he's done. He made sure he bought them those seats. So it wasn't a real election in 2018. This proves right there that it was rigged and it was bought. They were all bought. And to see Bloomberg admit, oh yeah, I did all this. I paid for them to win. Our voice didn't matter. So, knowing that he admitted that, we the people have the right to overthrow. We the people have the right to see these traitors get exposed and kicked out of Congress, kicked out of the House, kicked out of the Senate. It's time we get a whole new Congress. The Senate, we get the Senate, but there's some Republicans that we need to get rid of. Mitt Romney is one. Second is that, oh man, I forgot that woman's name. She's got that somewhat long curly hair. She looks like a news anchor, but it don't matter. And then the other 2 or 4, I forgot how many, because just recently some Republicans have turned, and I guess shit. Yep, this had to deal with Trump's actions on Soleimani, but this was about a couple weeks ago, and I completely spaced that. But I will take a look at the report, and this Friday I'll actually have that report. So, but as we take a look at these candidates, as we take a look on what's going to happen this year, we're in for a wild ride, folks. I mean, we really are. Another thing, I am pro marijuana. I hope President Trump will legalize marijuana federally without having the government come to your door saying, we're going to arrest you because you have so much marijuana. Get the hell out of here. When we take a look at how many people are overdosing on meth, on heroin, on cocaine, on drugs, let me tell you this. There has not been one single report of anyone overdosing on marijuana. Not one motherfucking report. And those that said that people have overdosed on marijuana, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Because honestly, the only thing you get from marijuana, the side effects are you get really hungry, you get tired, you get relaxed, you're chilled on the couch. You're watching Netflix, watching Trump, watching us going into 2021 with Trump being our president for 4 more years after November 3rd, folks. So, I've been in cars with people that smoke, and you know what? They're pretty good drivers. Those that drink, oh my god, oh! So those are like, yeah, man, how's it going? I'm gonna pass a doobie. Yep, there you go. Driving, cruising, and just enjoying the drive. Those are the good folk, because you can have a good old conversation with them. They're chill, they're cool. You are enjoying life, and it's awesome. So, and plus, marijuana has also helped kids that have seizures, that have cancer, that have autism. There's been a lot of progress that marijuana helps. It's not a drug, it's a plant, it's a herb. It can do a lot of good for a lot of people. And, I got some patriots that are against it, I got some patriots that are for, but it's okay. Because, your opinion is your opinion, no matter what. But you take a look at the evidence that marijuana will not kill a person. That marijuana helps with cancer patients. And I'm hearing it's doing a lot of good for people. So please, let's make this legal, because there's those that can't even get the medical card, that have severe mental health, severe health issues. It's both mental health and health. And to see that people have to spend sometimes $600 just for a red card, that's ridiculous. Why do they have to spend so much money to get medicine that they really need? You know, let's take a look at Big Pharma. Let's take a look at them, because Big Pharma, they don't really tell you what's being prescribed to you. Take a look at the side effects on the meds. Oh yeah, this pill will help you with your depression. You read it on the back. This pill may worsen your depression and may cause suicide. Wow. And yet it's supposed to help me with my depression. Get the hell out of here. Next. So, folk, Big Pharma has to go. It really does. Because the shit that you're seeing, like the whole CBD crap, some of the CBD products are being laced up with K2 and spice. I knew someone who bought Sugar Stash CBD gummies, and this was late 2018. This person ended up taking them, and you want to know what happened? This person almost died. This person almost lost their life because they ate two of the gummies, and one of the two had K2 and spice. And this product was bought from a smoke shop. And it's ridiculous that they're selling these things like, oh, hell yeah, these are good, and not telling them what's really going on with them. They're not saying anything. They're not putting warning signs, nothing. And that's what's making marijuana look bad. It's because of the people that are making it look bad. And it's ridiculous. So it's time we stop Big Pharma. It's time we go for herbs. I mean, real herbs. Yeah, marijuana, hemp, shit that was used before modern day medicine. Let's take a look what the Indians used, what these tribes used in the Amazon, in Australia, in Africa, in certain areas of the world. Let's see how they survive without pills. So, enough of the pill popping. It's time to be looking at real shit that can help. So I'm getting ready to go on break, folks. You know, it's just there's a lot to cover, and I'm glad to be on tonight. I'm glad I'm giving you all the real news as well. So I'm going on break.
My state is just terrible. I have the right to say that. It's a hellhole. I can say that because I've been here my entire life. I was born in California. I was raised in California. I was married in California. Well, I was married in Israel and California, and I've lived my entire life in California. Really, like except for 3 years where I was in Cambridge, Massachusetts, hanging out with the Elizabeth Warren crew. Except for that, I've been in California my entire life, and it is getting progressively worse. And I use the word progressively advisedly because the more progressive it grows, the dumber it grows. So we decided we were going to elect an idiot Kendall as the governor of the state of California. This Kendall said he was going to solve homelessness in San Francisco and completely failed to do so, instead helping turn San Francisco into a poop-filled needle mess. And then we were like, oh, let's make him governor. And he has presidential aspirations, does Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom gave his State of the State address the other day. And in his State of the State address, he addressed the fact that California has become the world's leading center of homelessness, or at least the America's leading center of homelessness. We have, by the way, something like 65,000 homeless people counted in Los Angeles County alone. Like Dodger Stadium worth of homeless people in LA County. You cannot walk down the street, any street in Los Angeles, without people engaging in public urination or defecation or needle use. I believe it was Herbert Hoover who promised a chicken in every pot. In LA, they promised a homeless person on every bench. Their great solution was that they were going to put bars on the benches, like in the middle of the bench, that homeless people can't actually lie across the benches. And it turns out that human beings being adaptable, homeless people have been just throwing blankets over those bars and then just sleeping right over them, like they don't really care. So it's a wonderful city, and we pay exorbitant taxes. And California as a state, we pay unbelievably high taxes, the highest tax rates in the nation, 13.3 top income tax bracket, and it kicks in at like, I think $100,000 a year or something. It's very, very low kicking. Anyway, Gavin Newsom gave his State of the State address in which he said it was a disgrace we have so much homelessness conveniently forgetting that he is the governor and was also the mayor of San Francisco and is horrible at both jobs.
Let's call it what it is. It's a disgrace that the richest state in the richest nation, succeeding across so many sectors, is falling so far behind to properly house, heal, and humanely treat so many of its own people. Every day, the California dream is dimmed by the wrenching reality of families, children, and seniors living unfed on a concrete bed.
Okay, well, you know who's responsible for that? That would be like you and the Democrats who have run Sacramento virtually my entire adult lifetime. And you may have something to do with that, do you not? So what proposals did Gavin Newsom bring to the table on homelessness? Well, as a Ken doll, there's not a lot between the ears. So Gavin Newsom brought a few proposals. Here's one of his proposals. He says, what if we just, said that people have a legal right to shelter? What if we just said that? Now, last I checked, when you say somebody has a legal right to a thing, this carries with it a couple implications. One, either nothing happens because you declared it a right and it doesn't materialize. For example, there's a right to housing in the South African Constitution. Homelessness in South Africa, a very large thing. You can declare anything a right. That doesn't mean it materializes. If I declare that you have a right to pancakes this morning, I'm not going to make it the pancakes. Nobody's going to make it the pancakes. The pancakes ain't going to appear. If I declare that you have a right to housing, that does not make the housing appear. Or is Gavin Newsom saying that if you have a legal right to housing, you can now sue the state to provide you the housing, which means that the state will be forced to raise taxes to build the housing? Or does it mean that the state can force developers to rent out their properties at rates that are non-beneficial, lowering development, causing increased taxes, causing increased spending on garbage public housing, which will promptly be wrecked by homeless people because a lot of those homeless people, in order to clean out, would actually need to abide by certain restrictions, but you can't have those restrictions because you have a legal right to housing. In other words, this is idiocy. But here is Gavin Newsom doing the idiotic thing because welcome to California.
In order to, though, get the job done, we've got to match this new money with a new legal obligation to address the crisis head on, requiring that any new funding isn't replacing existing spending, but creating new solutions. Some have recommended a legal right to shelter. I know it's a provocative idea, which has forced this state to explore the limits of what local governments can be compelled to do. But right now, our imperative, I believe, must be about bringing governments together as working partners, not sparring partners in a court of law.
So if you give everybody a legal right to shelter, that you're making everybody sparring partners in a court of law. That's what it does. I mean, you've now cast it into the courts, which is the entire purpose, of course. Then he says, what if doctors could write prescriptions for housing? What if they could write prescriptions for housing? What the hell is he talking about? Now, not to put too fine a points on it, but as you know, I have a close relationship with a doctor, a close sexual relationship with a doctor, my wife. I know, hot. But my wife should not be able to write prescriptions for housing because that's idiocy. She doesn't know anything about housing. She's a doctor. She can write a prescription for drugs. She can write a prescription for pharmaceuticals. She can write a prescription for a follow-up appointment. She can't write a prescription for a 2-bedroom condo in Studio City. What the hell are you talking about, Gavin Newsom? Gavin Newsom doesn't understand how doctors work. So here he is explaining that doctors should write prescriptions for housing.
Healthcare and housing can no longer be divorced. After all, what's more fundamental to a person's well-being than a roof over their head? Doctors should be able to write prescriptions for housing the same way they do for insulin and antibiotics.
What? Okay, but the good news is that Gavin Newsom says that what has really helped Californians is that we are now providing tax-free tampons and diapers. This is what's helping Californians save money. So we've really fixed all the problems, guys. Now, obviously, the answer to a lot of the homelessness problems in the state of California is to lower taxes, increase investment in development, release people from rent control, and criminalize people who are trespassing or engaging in public drug use, public defecation. Make sure that people either are forced into mandatory drug rehab or that they are treated in ways that they need to be treated if they're mentally ill. They get the drugs that they need, right? But he's not going to do any of that stuff. Instead, he's just going to talk about how, yeah, sure, we got hundreds of thousands of homeless people across the state of California. What if we declared a legal right or put it on doctors? And also, here's some free tampons.
The working parent with more money in her pocket thanks to expanded paid family leave, $1,000 family tax credit, and lower costs due to tax-free diapers and tampons.
Yep, well, and woo! California, man. Sure, open needles on the streets, poop on the corner, walking by that stuff with your kids in residential areas. But those diapers are tax-free, guys. Don't you feel better now? Don't you feel better? This state is trash. It's a good news. Why don't we like take that and just expand it across the whole nation? Democrats do such a great job. They do such a great job.
Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming of bigger things and wanna leave my old life behind. Not a yes sir, not a follower. Fit the box, fit the mold, have a seat in the foyer. Take a number. I was lightning before the thunder.
Thunder, 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 thunder.
Good evening, I'm glad to be back. Welcome to American Strong Patriot Talk. I am your host, Thomas Pascal, and well, I just want to bring up something real quick. We at American Strong Patriot Talk support W420 Radio Network. Patrick Moore, he's going to be my guest for the night, and haven't met him yet, but he seems like a cool guy. Patrick Moore at United States Cannabis Coalition, CA Hope Hemp Outreach Project for Education, and we fully support its cause. This is being petitioned currently. Look it up, the Cannabis Hemp Heritage Act, and learn more. We also support Roger Stone. He is being screwed by no other than the deep state and the Democrats. Please, let's help pardon Roger Stone and get him out of prison. The time is now. He needs to be home with his wife and his animal. This man is a very good man, and what he's going through is it's horrible. He is a big support for InfoWars. He's a big support for Trump. This man he's been there since Trump ran for office, and he's been close with the Trumps. Also, so there's a book by Laura Ingraham, Billionaire at the Barricades. I really suggest reading it. It is a very good book. She talks about Trump, about winning the presidency, and the things that he's facing. So I really suggest y'all check out Billionaire at the Barricades. And I will also have a picture of the book, and I will gladly share it as well. But further ado, I believe Patrick will be coming on my show, so I'm just waiting for him. And folk, I want to give him a warm welcome and have him talk about him. Patrick, are you in?
It'd be 1 minute. 1 minute. The great and powerful one is watching.
Greetings and good evening.
Good evening, Patrick. Nice to meet you.
Likewise. Honor and a pleasure to be here.
Welcome to my show. It is America Strong Patriot Talk, and I've been on for at least a week now. So please tell the guests a little bit about you.
And I love that Trump hat. Yeah. Trump and hemp. Trump and hemp. Yes, make America hemp again.
America hemp again. Nice.
And parade. Yeah, no, I've been 30 years in the cannabis liberation movement, worked with Jack Hare here in the early 90s in California, and then with Dennis Perone in the mid 90s with the medical marijuana bill. I actually went and got signatures on 215 when everybody said that was the craziest thing, never going to happen, the long shot. And yet I watched the ballot initiative not only change our state law, but change the way the whole world looked and thought about cannabis. It really was a blossoming at that moment, and through the next 20 years. So I became sort of connected to that initiative. And yet Jack had a much broader vision for legalization. That was for recreational, personal, industrial, everything else. The medical was an emergency measure. And yet we were told everyone was going to come back in 2 or 4 years and help us slam dunk the bigger initiative. And then the community started finding a lot of money in medical marijuana. A lot of little niches were made, and they just sort of went off and forgot about us and never came back and helped fund this initiative. So when Prop 64 came along in 2016, the DPA, George Soros, Gavin Newsom, it was a big progressive seizure. It was almost like revenge for what we did in California. We opened the door so wide because, again, I like to remind people, Dennis Peron, very radical gay activist from San Francisco, good friends with Harvey Milk, helped fund a lot of Harvey Milk's work. Lifelong proud Republican. That's why 215 made sense. It was looking out for the patient and the individual. Jack Hare, maybe the most famous person in cannabis. Jack Hare's strain's very famous. A lot of kids think he's just a strain now, but he wrote The Emperor Wears No Clothes, which almost every activist I've ever met said that's what got him in it. That was the book that changed their lives. That was the book that, changed at least the way they saw cannabis. He was also a lifelong proud Republican. And that's why the bill I work with got Roger Stone and this new coalition I'm working with so excited. Because when they saw it, they were related to it. Limits taxes, limits licensing fees. It's everything conservatives are trying to do in general. We just wanted to do it with cannabis. So the conundrum out in California is so many people are these radical leftist kind of the progressive movement, and yet they hate the law that's been passed. It's putting everyone out of business. It's becoming this very, very controlled, bizarre crony capitalism. They just raised the taxes on January 1st of this year. So it went from 47% to 53% now. So literally, they're taxing cannabis over 50%, and everyone they're doing us a favor while doing it, right? So those are sort of the foundations. That's sort of where I'm coming from. And then about 3 years ago, when this bill passed, I was about to retire from cannabis politics. It was overwhelming to watch California go from having the best cannabis law in the world to the worst very quickly. So, and then again, I met Roger Stone right after he made the announcement on InfoWars that he's going to use this clout. Most people I'm sure are familiar with the film Get Me Roger Stone. Towards the end of the film, Trump kept grabbing Stone in the White House and saying, "Hey, I owe this guy the biggest favor in political history. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. I owe this guy a big one." And that ended up in the film. So Stone got on InfoWars on 4/20, 2017, and said, "Hey, my friend, 40 years, says he owes me a big political favor. I decided to call in that favor. I'm going to make sure he legalizes cannabis and does it properly." So I met him about a month later and gave him the Jack Hare initiative, gave him a hemp shirt, a couple things I'm working with. I got a little hemp clothing company, so I gave him one of our shirts and the book, Jack Hare's book. He hadn't read it, so he read the book, read the initiative. About a month later, said, "Patrick, you're in charge of the coalition. I mean, I'll do what I can do. We got people involved in it, but you know more about this and are more radically inclined than all the rest of us. So you're running the coalition." So for almost 3 years now, I've been sort of running the United States Cannabis Coalition. And as Jack would have insisted, we decided to put hemp first. And so we started focusing on hemp first because, again, as cool as cannabis is, an incredible medicine and all the things it does, $5-6 billion a year industry here in California, it's the industrial hemp that's always stirred and inspired us even more so. It's the idea of replacing petroleum. It's the idea of getting back to a protein source that may be essential to the human body. The more I come to understand the essential fatty acids in hemp seed and what we need, it's almost like a locking key. And everything else is just sort of hitting in the ballpark. If you actually want to get the protein that builds the brain and the body and the neural system and everything, it's a certain blend of 3, 6, and 9 at a stacked ratio that hemp has, and nothing else has. So we eat all these other proteins and sort of mix it up and get sort of close. But if we were to focus on hemp seed, as I think we have for the last several 100,000 years, it's like a key. It's like a nutritional key, and it's quite miraculous. So eating the seed I consider to be more important than the smoking of the flower. I've been running my car on hemp oil for 10 years. I got an old Mercedes Benz. I've been using hemp oil as my fuel for 10 years. And it's just I'm driving my talk. People walk their talk. I try to drive my talk as far as using hemp for fuel, which is the other, what everyone's told me my whole life. All the wars are about, all the pressure on the planet's about what we're using as fuel. And I came to find out that the weed plant can do it very easily, very smoothly, with benefit to the soil, and the whole cycle works in harmony instead of out of harmony in so many ways. Instead of several thousand oil barons, it would be, hundreds of thousands of hemp farmers. Same amount of money, same amount of fuel, but it could be spread out in a much more egalitarian way just by the nature of farming, in contrast to what the oil monopolies have created in the world today. So that may have been the impetus for banning hemp at the get-go. Again, like drinking, they never really cared if we drank or smoked or whatever. They still wanted us competing with fuel. Alcohol prohibition was 100% about fuel. It had nothing to do with drinking. The year they started alcohol prohibition, half of America was making half of their fuel either in their house or their neighbor's house. Some were in the neighborhood, some was taking the yard waste and making 5 cents a gallon clean burning locally produced fuel, and half of America was using it. So that's what alcohol prohibition was about. It's getting us away from fuel and as soon as they got us back to drinking and all that, but monopolizing it. We never got back to home brewing. So you hear me okay? Am I coming through okay?
You're coming through fine, sir.
Fantastic. All right. Good. Yeah. So again, it's the model. Everyone's told me my whole life, don't worry about cannabis. We're going to legalize it just like we did alcohol. Then I started looking closer at alcohol prohibition and realized, yeah, we lost that. 95% of what we got is access to very expensive corporate alcohol at 7-Elevens, but we don't make 5 cents a gallon clean burning locally produced fuel. We really lost. We didn't win. So I want to make sure we don't do the same thing with cannabis. We get Marlboro Greens at 7-Eleven, and yet the perfect food source and the perfect Germany went industrial about the time we went medical, about 20 something years ago. Right now, 1/3 of all Mercedes-Benz in the world is made out of cannabis. So when it's put back into place, the biggest businesses on the planet, the highest end, the Mercedes, right? They'll go back and use it. Not because they're hippies, not because they're stoners, not because they're because it's the most unique resource on the planet. And that goes for plastics, fuel, food, fabrics, whatever, smoke, right? Whatever you're using it for, it is uniquely superior to anything else you can find. It's a miracle like that. Hence the most mentioned herb in the Bible. Hence the most mentioned herb in the Bhagavad Gita, the books of India. Most mentioned herb by Buddha. So all around the world, the ancient traditions emphasize this plant for the same reasons I think I'm talking about. It gave a superior connection, superior fabric, a superior. All the sailing on the world for the last 2,000 years was done with hemp resin. They rubbed the resins of the plant into the wood. That's the only way ships made it from Europe to America and around the world. And the sails that didn't rot in ocean water were hemp sails. Everyone talks about the hemp sails, but they don't realize that they actually had to goop up that gooey resin that we all love so much on a mass scale. That stuff smeared all over a boat will get you across the Atlantic Ocean for 2 months. It is so tied to our history, so tied to who and what we are, that it gives a real interesting perspective the last 100 years. They're trying to take away our smoke.
And hemp is the most patriotic. Oh, sorry to interrupt. Hemp is the most patriotic product of the nation to have and utilize for our future well-being, and it is.
Absolutely. Our founding fathers were very passionate about it. Some of the great inspiration and a lot of the connection I found with Roger Stone and a lot of people in his circle was being able to quote the presidents and being able to, paint the early days of our founding fathers being surrounded by this plant with such a passion that appealed to a lot of them and made a heartfelt connection to a lot of them. So yeah, sort of the story, everyone's got their own angle on it. Some people are very, out here in California, a lot of people are very connected to the nutritional side because the hemp seed's very useful, but then just juicing the plant, they ended up with this raw cannabis juice, and then in the market today, it'd be a $400 or $500 glass of juice. But a lot of people who had a lot of access to this with medical marijuana, it was just growing in the backyard. It's like a tomato. So when you can take a big cola, instead of curing it and smoking it, you just put it in the juicer and juice it. It creates a vitality tonic like nothing else as well. So again, it's not even just one use of this as the food. It is a if there was, I always say, if there's one thing you could take on a desert island with you, it would be a bag of cannabis seeds. It would be weed. It would be that thing. Could be that thing that you could survive with for 10 years if you're left on an island alone. So it's a yeah, and it's a vicious fight right here at the end. We have filed that initiative. I'm talking about the Jack Herr initiative, and today it's called the California Cannabis Hemp Heritage Act because we're really trying to save the state's heritage. Jack Herr passed away about 10 years ago, so I've been sort of carrying the torch and keeping this campaign going since. And the state and many people in the state kind of convinced us we needed to give it one more try because despite the fact that it's called legal now, we are spiraling backwards. It's feeling like the 80s and the drug war is just in a rage here. Despite a handful of monopolists being able to set up very fancy stores, everything else is looking like the worst days of the drug war in the state. So we're in the process of getting the signatures, trying to get that. California has a ballot initiative process. Not all the states do, but in California, we can sidestep lawyers, the governor, judge, every Sacramento. They even have to talk to them. You can write a bill, collect signatures, submit it, and then it goes to the ballot, straight to the voters. So it's the only thing that's kept California kind of sane for the last 100 years is we've been able to sidestep them every 2 years and create our own laws. And so that's how we ended up with medical marijuana, of course. That's how we're also going to end up to hopefully fix the UMA problem, this Adult Use Marijuana Act. It's the law that we have now, and it's just a bad bill. It's just the worst I've ever seen. For any use. And again, it's so radically restrictive and so diametrically opposed to Constitution and basic principles of free market and common sense and decency and it's one of those big thick bills that no one could get through the first couple pages. So they just looked at the cover where it said legalization and they said, it's got to be good. And even you would think the really bright people, the people's money invested in this industry would have spent more time researching it because all we've heard for 3 years since is, well, yeah, I endorsed it. And then we all, again, it seemed like the thing to do, but there's a lot of buyer's remorse in California right now. So again, we're trying to, we'll know in the next, we have until 420, and it's an arc of 650,000 signatures we have to collect, valid signatures from voters. So it's this mammoth undertaking. And I've done it every 2 years for 30 years, almost. I took a couple years off. But this year's is unique. Again, we've got a unique momentum behind us. Again, I was hoping Stone was going to be much more involved, the United States Cannabis Coalition, but obviously he was taken off the field a year ago. And we spent a lot of time trying to help him instead of actually having his focus and his team involved in maybe helping this ballot initiative. But what we did do the first year and a half was get industrial hemp legal in America. 2018 Farm Bill descheduled industrial hemp. We call it the real Green New Deal. All these crazy progressives talking about this $70 billion thing to fix the planet. And yet we have access to the most useful industrial product in the world, industrial hemp again. And certain states are running with it. Other states are stepping a little more slowly, but it's accessible now. And we're starting, and within a year, we became the fourth largest hemp growing nation in the world. So we are quickly catching back up with the big players on the planet as we all realize that we took a little detour for 100 years that maybe we didn't need to. The sooner we get back to where we were, relying heavily on the cannabis plant, we'll be healthier, more secure, more stable as a culture and a society worldwide. I feel like I don't want to just talk through the whole thing. I feel by all means, I'm sorry. I'm just very excited, and yeah, I've been going all day for about 9 months now on this campaign. So we're getting here towards the end, and it's very exciting. But
And to all the patriots out in California, please get these signatures. Let's get this approved. Not only that, to all the patriots across the nation, let's help get Roger Stone out of prison. We have to get him home. The time is now, folks. We really need Roger Stone. We really have to get this legalized. And to also have President Trump legalize marijuana federally so we don't have the federal government up our ass.
absolutely, no. Roger made this a top priority, and not many people around Trump were doing that. So that's why it's such a unique moment where he again, it may be one of the reasons. I don't think it's the major reason or the only reason, but it's certainly one of the reasons they wanted him out of the way. Is without him, we don't have this momentum we're having, and had that first year and a half. So I'm confident Stone's going to get through this. I don't think, again, especially with everything that's come out in the last few weeks about the jury and what we're finding out, and all the speculation and the radical theories we were putting out 3 4 weeks ago is all being found out to be completely true and provable. So I believe he's going to get pardoned. And although again, what we all hope for is a new trial, a pardon still is an admission of guilt. And that's what's frustrating about this whole thing is they just want something officially on the record that their whole Russia wasn't a nothing because they got stoned. So if we can, again, ultimately what we all really hope is a new trial, a retrial, something like that. And yet this lady, the judge, and this whole, the system's not, you know, the scrutiny of a new trial would be embarrassing for them. So that's the last thing they want. But ultimately, that's our battle. That's really the forefront. The biggest victory we could have for Stone right now is that sounds crazy, but to get him a new trial and let him sit in front of a real judge, and this thing probably last 3 or 4 days and get thrown out.
Instead of the Democrats that have taken over the jury and the judge, and to see that this was a Democratic judge, it was a rigged hearing. They wanted to throw him in because they think that with getting Roger Stone out of the way, they can get Trump. But here's the deal: they got Infowars, they got we, the American people. They still got to go through us before they get Trump. We're in the way, and they don't like that crap.
Absolutely. No, we are stronger and larger and becoming more and more connected every day. That's once they thought they could push us off of Facebook and squeeze us out of Twitter, that we would somehow lose touch with each other. What we're doing is finding other ways to communicate. We're finding other ways of building networks, and we're like the seed they plant. We just keep growing. We're coming back. They think they're burying us, but they're just fueling us. And I'm excited. Again, I know Stone is as well. I know again, it's just you don't get into the fight unless you can recognize that the punches are just part of it. That the ups and downs, and it's just part of the cycle of it. So again, it's knowing it's having the long game in mind. I think that's the thing that ties many of us together is we have the longer vision. So it's a rough week, it's a rough month, it's a rough year. Those are things we can recoup from. As long as there's a victory at the end, as long as we can see a success, I think most of us can keep motivated and get through the rough times. Because I know these are trying times for many.
Oh, especially with the re-election, the time is now. We gotta make sure Trump is still in for the next 4 years, so that we don't have either the pedophile Pocahontas, mini Bloomberg, or the crazy socialist. We got to keep them out.
Can't-
Pussy.
I can't imagine any one of them. Just mind-boggling. Just boggle. Yeah, no, it's never been more clearly a chasm between two candidates than that whole group and Trump. There's never been a guy. I don't know. In my understanding of American history, I don't think the chasm's ever been bigger, or the stakes higher. So I'm right there with you, and I think about 80 million right now with us hard. So again, I'm not so concerned about that, although I certainly should be, and we all are. I know I'm going to work this campaign. I'm in an awkward position right now because we've been fundraising and working this campaign here in the state, and that involves me reaching back out and being in the circle of a lot of radical leftists. So in my own world, I've had to pull back a bit the last few months and not push myself out there and not maybe isolate some of our teammates on the local front, and that's it's one of the trade-offs in politics, and that's why I get excited to come on other shows and be able to talk outside my normal circle right now. Like I say, if this however this wraps up in the next 2 months, once the funding's there, once it's not so much me, it's a larger group working on a ballot initiative that's going to be on the ballot, then I can go back to supporting Stone. And I've had to explain to everybody that I just had to pull back, and everyone gets it. No one's upset about it, but it hurts my heart not to be able to do both. But it's such a fanatical time. I mean, there have been death threats. I've been boycotted for the last 3 years, so my business has been, again, they can't get you arrested and they can't get you sucker punched. They'll try to get you to lose your job, or again, there's just a whole cycle. The gameplay is never about arguing the points. They don't like that, but they like whatever else they can do to stop us or slow us down or discourage us. That seems to be fair game for them. So yeah, I'm again, for many people I've worked side by side with for the last 30 years, I found them doing very dirty and very dishonest things to try to just fuddle me up. And at the end, all of a sudden they're screaming at me about Stone, and I'm like, oh, that's what this is about, right? Because I'm trying to figure out, I've always been a little conservative, but we're always sort of in California. Everyone's supposed to be it's about tolerance, it's about a broad umbrella for everybody. So it's never been an issue till the last 3 years. I mean, a little bit of ripples when I was working with Dr. Ron Paul. I worked with Dr. Ron Paul for 8 years. I consulted with him about mostly about medical marijuana. That was really his focus, and I got to know him around those issues. And but yeah, there's a little bit of that back in the day, but yeah, really nothing. Nobody. I don't think anybody in the country's seen anything like the response they've had to Trump and Trump supporters. This polarization's been a little shocking.
Wow, just a lot of information, and just that's wild. And that's the one thing. The only thing that the left and these freaking liberals are good at is threatening. They try to intimidate us. They think that they're better than us, and at the end of the day, they're not better than us. We're supposed to be American, not where, okay, you can like whoever the hell you want, but don't come and try and piss on us for who we like. We're not going out there beating them over the side of the head with sticks for supporting Sanders or whoever those morons support. But it's getting to the point where I can't even walk outside without having a finger to my face or getting spit at in my face or getting run over and while taking the crosswalk. And I've had that happen because I'm wearing this hat, and it's like, and I told people the only way these people are going to be able to shut me up, they're going to have to kill me. They can break me, they can beat me, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to go down without a fight. I will bring them down because that's what we have to show. We have to show these people, look, that y'all want to commit treason, y'all want to continue believing in the BS, saying that marijuana is bad, Trump's bad, being a white male is bad. Oh my gosh, I hate that freaking trend. But, it's ridiculous. These people they're being led to slaughter.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just so encouraged. Again, I think we're taking the House. So again, I think we get the Senate, the House, and another 4 years of Trump. That's what it's all looking like to me. So again, I just see us winning on so many fronts, but that's what makes the individuals in these little circles and these actions so dangerous. That's what makes these people so dangerous is they watch themselves losing power. They're supposed to have friends in the White House right now. They're supposed to have relationships and things that they're pulling off, and that crony capitalism, that crony socialism is it's alluring to those people because it is a straight power network, favorism and all that. So
Exactly.
they expected all that. That was all pre-booked, and to not have that and to watch us have that, it's just driving them crazy. And it does. They don't wait for the fair game. They're not just going to wait for the next election. It's all about the resistance. They're still traveling around the world telling people that Trump's not a legitimate president. I mean, they're still waiting for the revolution, and
And which
and
is going
the
to
only thing
happen.
that's
Chances are it's going to happen this year, but I hope not. I hope that our children doesn't have to witness this crap. But if they do, they do. But look, they're going to witness us whooping some tail, not us taking the ass kicking. We're going to be doing it. And, we try getting these people to agree multiple times. It's like, come on, we got to have something in common. I'm like, you can hate Trump, okay, but what can we agree on? Can we agree at least on some? Oh no, we can't have a middle ground. You like Trump, you like the Constitution. Well, don't you like the Constitution because you're protesting? You have the right to protest, freedom of speech. Y'all are claiming that you have the freedom to come out and protest, and you know what would happen if Sanders was president? What would happen if one of these candidates come in? There is no freedom of speech because then they're going to be begging for us to help them, and it's going to be like, we warned you, and now you want our help? I'm sorry, but how do we know we can really trust them. We can't.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I get it. No, it's become an unfortunate wedge issue with so many of those people. They justify much of their hatred for the government on the drug war, and on specifically the war on cannabis. So many people have watched their friends or network or people they know of get busted and go through these cycles of police, interactions over something that we all see as being it's close to a health food. It's like a tonic. It's like this really powerful healing thing. And yet the response to it's been so brutal. And people who live up north and people who've kept a lot of this research and the culture going, it's been ugly. And so yeah, there's a there it's that thing that starts to pit you against the government, and then it becomes this kind of snowball where a lot of them are the lures of socialism is to find that wedge issue, whatever it is you think you're being denied. Yes, and it's worse than that, and they build upon that. It's the victim culture, but there is the cannabis community have been victims. So
Because
it's a confusing playing field out here in California.
exactly. And when we take a look at other states that are like, well, marijuana's out killing people, and it's like, how's it killing people? There's not been a freaking report. Yeah, we hear of laced marijuana. That's those that are wanting to make it bad. Those are the people that want to show, hey, marijuana is bad, it's killing. They're putting crap into it, like K2, spice, amphetamines, all the trash. And because, I was hearing about this crap at a meeting last year in Pennsylvania, and before I got up, this woman's like, well, my son ended up inhaling marijuana. He was in the hospital because he overdosed. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? I straight up, I was like, I got on the mic, I was like, you know what? And I told the lieutenant governor, there's a lieutenant governor there. I was like, we have not had a single report of anyone overdosing of marijuana. The only thing that we've been seeing is success after success after success. Marijuana has been helping patients, not just hemp in general. It helps. It helps kids with autism, seizures, all types of diseases. It's one hell of a good medicine. It's not making you loopy where you're going out like, oh man, I need it like heroin where you have to shoot up like every 3 hours. No, the moment you have a hit or you eat whatever you do with the product, that's your choice, your business. You know, you're calm. You're pretty much on the couch like, hey, I got the munchies, man. So
Yeah, no, a therapeutic drug. The side effect is it makes food taste a little better, music sound a little better. Doesn't sound. I look at the side effects of everything, and that seems to be the best, right? At the side, and at the very most, it puts you to sleep. You're right, and there's not been a history in the 10,000 years of research that any person's ever died from smoking. And when they say that there's a toxic level of cannabis, it's like 2,000 pounds. When the scientists actually say, well, here's what might actually kill you, it's an astronomical amount. It's like what they shot up in those kids in Arkansas. When Bill Clinton killed those two kids in Arkansas, they shot them up with cannabis. When they said those two kids that saw the Arkansas planes landing when he's governor there was two teenage kids that found out the plane was landing there. They watched it, and so they killed them. What they did, they shot him up with cannabis. So they said that they were too stoned and fell asleep on the train tracks and got hit. That's the official story. But when they looked in their blood, they said they had like 1,000 pounds worth of cannabis in their bloodstream. That's that's how those thugs work. That's how the killers work in the system under the drug lords that have been our political class for the last 30 years. They're vicious and brutal. And again, I just never forgot that they shot up two teenage kids with they somewhere they got syringes full of you know massive amounts of cannabis. So they still try to weaponize it. They tried to find ways to weaponize it. What I always remember is the ladies from there's several of them that have published books now. Transformation of America is one of them. People who've been through mind control, victims of the like Manchurian candidates, people who went through the programs in the 60s and 70s and earlier, trying to create multiple personalities, controllable multiple personalities, and all of them said that the one thing they were not allowed to do while they're out in the world is smoke cannabis. Were often assassins and drug dealers, smugglers and stuff. They used them for all remains taboo. Absolutely, because it unravels mind control, the highest levels of mind control, MK Ultra. With that goes, don't let them smoke cannabis while they're out there in the world, because under that it will start to unravel and we'll lose them. If for nothing else, that might be reason enough to pick up smoking for most of America, most of the world today, right? It breaks the patterns of predatory mind control. Forget everything else. Smoke at least once a day, so as not to be, influenced like that. So yeah, it's one of those good things. The further in you look, the better it gets, and just the more dimensions to its benefits that are there. And again, I know that's what most of our history's been, just finding one new breakthrough after another. Right now, the Canadians have made hemp graphene. And I used to think it was the thing that, probably couldn't be made out of hemp. Jack Hare's book was like, anything you do, we can do better with hemp. And I used to think, and I used to say that, I've said it a lot, right? And yet in the back of my head, I used to think, yeah, it's probably 99%. But, there's NASA and there's graphene and there's certain things. That's fine. We don't need to talk about that, right? But now we're making hemp graphenes so much better than graphene, so much better. And they say the graphene they made at this little, and there's a bunch of college kids. These are not like a $1 billion corporation trying to recreate graphene. A bunch of college kids made a hemp graphene as a side project. It wasn't even a main project, a side project at the university. They said it took 1/1000th the energy input that graphene takes. So the cost, energy input. 1/1000th.
Oh.
Is that the whole 20th century? Is that everything we've done for the last 100 years? It took 1,000 times the energy input to make a car out of metals and petroleum and all instead of just hemp. We could have been doing all this with hemp at 1/1000th the cost. Houses, cell phones, sports cars, all of it. But at 1/1000th the energy input, this whole going to Texas or Saudi Arabia and digging up the oils and then digging up the metals and all the stuff we thought we needed to do. What if we didn't need to do any of it?
Oh man, wouldn't that be something? But another thing, pot lifts the hand of brainwashing off the mind to think freely, and that is true. I've seen people, it has opened up the mind where you can have a migraine, you can have so much going on, but the moment you smoke, it unravels. It gets you thinking on positive thoughts, what you're gonna say, how are you gonna say it. Like it gets you right there. Like wow, it gives you like for me, I've been on the Oculus Go, and it's like being in another world. You have the right to think, to freely do whatever the hell you want. It's an open reality.
Sure. Sure. Now, our creativity is what defines us as a species on many levels. And the idea that we can enhance that and stimulate that and tickle that. But of course, right? But of course. So yeah, no, again, the greatest artist so much, again, it just goes back. It just goes back to it being the key nutrient, not just one of the nutrients, not just one of the essentials. It should be up there, right up there with vitamin C, right up there with the basics. And again, the endocannabinoid system defines us as needing cannabinoids. Many of the things we're starting to look at, we're starting to ponder whether it's endocannabinoid deficiency. We call it all this other stuff. The year they banned cannabis federally, when it's created the tax stamp, they knew that was a ban. 1 week before that passed, the head of the AMA in America realized that marijuana was cannabis. Up until that point, for 10 or 15 years, him and many people in America thought marijuana was Jimson weed. And Jimson weed's a little weed from Mexico and Southern America and different places. And it does make you loopy. It does kill horses when they eat it. It does, it's not a good. If there's a reason to ban drugs, it would be one. I mean, it's not even really a drug; it's a poison, right? So the way they described it in the Hearst Press and all the Reefer Madness movies, they assumed reefer and marijuana was talking about Jimson weed, and cannabis that was in every hospital and every medical center in America was different. Sativa and indica had nothing to do with marijuana or all the stuff they were calling it reefer, right? So he realizes the week before, he rushes to DC, testifies in Congress the day before they passed the bill, and he said if you make this mistake, you're cursing the generations to come with 100 diseases we don't even have names for yet. That haunts me because I think about the last 100 years and it's just every year more diseases, more names for something that's off and something that's wrong with humanity. 100 years into it, a lot of people feel like we're sort of cursed. Like everybody's going to have health issues throughout their entire life, and we just got to kind of deal with that. What if most of that, because even most stoners don't eat the seed, they aren't getting the proteins that create this whole magical thing that happens in the body when you have the right protein.
Exactly. And you
Well,
know,
and no cannabinoid deficiency.
and here's the thing that's true. The prohibition of marijuana was pushed early in the 1900s because they thought it would control the Mexican immigrant flow into America, which, this ain't like alcohol. Alcohol will always be alcohol, but the prohibition on marijuana is just ridiculous. We have so many
No,
bars out
I
here.
don't,
Why can't we have marijuana lounges? Why can't we actually have where people can sit in, smoke, eat, whatever, play pool, have a good time without having the cops out to raid these places saying, well, marijuana is bad and all, while they're out selling that plant to the cartels, to gangs, they're banking off of it after they rob you. It's not a raid, it's just a modern day mugging, but with law enforcement.
absolutely. Gavin Newsom, when his petition, the first time the Democratic Party ever endorsed legalization, it was the UMA Act, this Soros created DPA bill that was a nightmare. And when Gavin Newsom was stumping for it around the state, one of the things he said was, I want my daughter to grow up, he's like 12 or something. I want my daughter to grow up in the state of California where she never has to smell marijuana the way I have. And of course, he's a drug fiend, and everyone kind of knows that he's been partying for 30 years. And so the hypocrisy of it's sickening. But just how that's their vision, and that's what they're putting out there. Is they're going to so regulate and control, recreate what we know as cannabis culture in California, to where no one will ever smell it again. It'll be so hidden. It'll be so second class, stuck away in some little corner somewhere. People are, still smoking in some bathroom somewhere, right? Because they're scared that, it's legal, but it's not legal. And it's all starting to sink in more and more that's what they're talking about. It's just a different type of, they call it Prohibition 2.0. It's just a different type of prohibition. Dealers are being brought out of the black market and put into, a few big stores that are crumbling. MedMen, the largest monopoly right now in cannabis, they say they probably got 6 months left before they tank. They're tanking right now. It's a bloodbath. It's all over, but they're going to drag $1 billion with them. An investment. They've been on the stock market. They've got in 12 different states or something, right? They can't do it. They can't recreate what's been created in this subculture for the last 100 years. So they're trying to, but it's just not working. So
No.
the alternative is just getting rid of everybody and recreating it with a couple safe players running it. They don't even cure the herb. 80% of the herb they're selling in California, they don't even cure it. And if you're a cannabis smoker, that's like serving fresh whiskey to folks, bragging about how you just made your whiskey yesterday and here it is. And you'd be like, no, you're actually supposed to age whiskey. That's what everyone in California should be doing. Going there, but no, you're supposed to cure the cannabis before you sell it to me. But they don't even do that. There's not even a respect for the tradition enough to say, oh, there are 4 steps in it, not 3. Right? So again, if they could even try to replace it in a respectful, decent way, we're all open to that. We don't want to exclude big players from getting into cannabis. We just don't want them to exclude us as well. We want them to have to compete against us. If you're going to try to do this in a big way, good luck with it. It's not easy to do. And they're going to have to always have 30 or 40,000 growers in the state of California that can do it better. And just open up that market. The day 5 years from now, when there's a international cannabis Etsy, or a version of cannabis eBay or whatever, and people can just ship this stuff around the world, California's set. We're set for 20 or 30 years. 100 years of keeping this tradition alive in America should pay off. Right now, everyone's going to Oklahoma. Oklahoma passed the law closer to ours than anybody else right now. So in Oklahoma, if you're a citizen, if you're a resident of Oklahoma, you can get into their medical system. And like they say, 10% of Oklahoma has medical cards right now. 10% of the state has a medical card. And there are 3 times as many legal outlets in Oklahoma as California.
Wow.
After 20 years of medical marijuana here, and there are thousands of shops opened up, we developed a whole subculture kind of around medical. They shut down most of those, and Oklahoma has opened up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of outlets. And we have 10 times the population of Oklahoma. So the real equation is a citizen of Oklahoma has 30 times the legal options for cannabis as the citizen of California does. 30 times the legal options. And Oklahoma did nothing for 100 years. You know, if anything, they worked kind of against cannabis culture for the last 100 years, where California did all this pioneering crazy stuff. And we've gotten the short end of the stick because of Gavin Newsom, because of modern, radical, progressive politics. And they sold this thing to us as it was, you know, they just kept saying it won't, you know, you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. You like your medical marijuana, you can keep your medical marijuana. 3% of the state that was medical is medical right now. Almost nobody in the state's going to sign up for the government medical card. We used to be able to go to the doctor, get a little note from the doctor, that was our medical card. Simple, easy. Now it's a government card, laminated, and with that, the agreement that they'll sell, they can share your health information with anybody they choose to. A radical step in health freedom, right? Away from health freedom. And yet that's the only option. And then, worse than that, 50% of all the taxes from UMA go into the enforcement of UMA. So it's a $5 billion a year industry. They're taxing it at 53% now, so $2.5 billion a year in taxes. Half of that, $1,250,000,000 into canna cops. Specific cops for cannabis at a tune of $1 billion a year of funding? Just mind-boggling. What's this place look like in 5 years, right? There will not be an independent cannabis plant grown in 10 years if they can put $10 billion into cannabis cops in the next 10 years in California. That's the trajectory of UMA, and it's just a nightmare. The bill we're going to replace it with, 50% of the taxes go into research. So we can catch up with Germany, start building hemp cars. So we can figure out everything we need to know about the endocannabinoid system. We can do what Israel's been doing for the last 50 years. They discovered THC, they discovered CBDs. They've been in there in the laboratories figuring out how all this stuff works. So California, we could catch up to that, but it would help if we had the money infused from our taxes into research. So that's the way we wrote the bill. It's not a complicated situation when you really look at it. So we encourage people, visit our website, CHHA 2020. So C2H's A 2020. That's a Cannabis Hemp Heritage Act 2020.com. That's our website, but we're also on Instagram, Facebook. I think we got people working with us on a couple other platforms. So we got, we're everywhere. You can hashtag us, look for our page, look for our pages. Share the word, create a ripple. The people who are looking at funding us, they want to know if there's a big community support behind it. So literally every like, every retweet, every connection builds everyone forgets that. We all downplay the importance of social media, and at the same time, it is important. It is the community commons. It's the square where we all connect. And so even the smallest things of resharing and liking and adding to the algorithm, it literally builds campaigns. It literally is changing the world. And that's why, again, I don't know if you heard today, but one of Trump's friends, a billionaire, a conservative billionaire, just bought Twitter, just bought the controlling interest of Twitter. So Dorsey does not have controlling interest of Twitter. This guy apparently he's been doing it for a minute because it takes a while to buy up all that stock. But at the end here, one fell swoop, he now is the controlling owner of Twitter.
Nice.
So as of tomorrow, next week, or somehow, all algorithms are going to start to change on Twitter, and I may actually be able to get heard there. I'm Dr. Mesmer, DrMesmer, Dr. Mesmer on Twitter. That's my Twitter handle. So yeah, by all means, reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our campaign's strong. It could always be stronger though. And that's really our goal. We have a statewide campaign, but there's a global campaign connected to it, trying to teach other people the model. that you don't have to follow California or some of these other states, that you can make this like another commodity, um, tax it reasonably, license it, let people, again, there's not a danger in letting people try to grow it and fail, right? If you're not, that's in Oklahoma. They don't like cannabis, but they don't like crony capitalism or communism or all this weird, the weird stuff that goes along with the progressive politics. So they said, all right, we're going to legalize it. $2,500, you got a license. If you do well, we'll get some tax money. If you don't do well, you'll be gone in a year or two. But they aren't picking the winners and losers beforehand. In 3 years here, everyone's bending over backwards, paying bribes, crazy, crazy stuff going on to get a license. People are spending millions of dollars to get a license because they're being able to, and that's socialism. That's the nature of communism. Is the core, the party's so popular because they can hand out all the favors. You know what they were calling this, the UMA bill in 2016? In Sacramento, the insiders, senators up there, stuff, they were calling it the Gavin Newsom 2028 presidential slush fund, because that 50% of the taxes go into enforcement, but the governor gets to choose how that's set up and who it actually goes to. And if I had 8 years as governor handing out $1 billion a year in favors, I might have a shot at the White House, right? I mean, $1 billion a year gets you some favors, right? So to be able, and that's a traditional slush fund, is you get to choose where it's not your money and you don't get to spend it yourself, but you get to choose where it goes. That's almost as good as having the money yourself, right? As long as the people getting it appreciate it that way. And so Gavin's famous for that. These guys are all, there are 4 families that run California. The Newsoms are one of them and have for 100 years. And they're all like intermarried and stuff. Pelosi's family, they're all like, it's ugly. It's a crazy scene out here. So we're trying to break that apart, trying to take California back. This used to be the land of Nixon and Reagan. There was a moment here where we had the largest, strongest middle class in the world.
To what it is now.
To where it is now. Everyone sees it as just this naturally left-leaning, crazy radical, and we have half the homeless population, and the entire state's just crumbling on so many levels. It feels, and again, it's so easy, it's so tempting to just leave. Again, as at moments it was in, to leave America before Trump. I had backup plans to get out of here. So again, it's certainly not in our nature. We're tends again, and I know I'm still here. I'm here fighting. But yeah, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. It's easy to feel like our history's on the trajectory in one way. We need to remind ourselves it's not. Nothing's written in stone. These guys own the media and academia, and that's what makes it seem like it's all predestined and it's just natural in the way this is going. But when we get the media back, we get academia back, we'll write the history, we'll share the story, right? It doesn't, you show the direction and you know what I'm saying. So yeah, again, I think we have many steps to get the power back, but keeping Trump in, getting, rearranging what, again, because the left thinks they own cannabis. They think it's their issue. People think we're crazy for being conservatives in the cannabis issue because it's not our issue, right? Well, it needs to be. We need to be involved in everything. We can't just pick the things that we like and let them take care of other things. Because what did they do? They took over academia. You can't let them do that. What are they saying? Lawyers right now. 80% of attorneys in America are Democrats. 90% of Ivy League attorneys are Democrats. That's real world impact. That's the ladies judging Stone. Those are going to be the people judging all of us, right? If we let them in those kind of positions, and as we all know, again, I'm being redundant, draining the swamp. That's the theme of the whole game, right? So, but again, literally watching it happen has been very exciting, and I think we all know it's the second 4 years that's going to make the big difference. What he can get done while being impeached and all this craziness. It's getting over this next hurdle, and again, maybe with the House and the Senate, game changing.
Hell yeah. And I believe that's coming. And the Democrats and the liberals, they don't like the fact we just won. 2020 is ours. We're going in November 3rd with the House, the Senate, and the White House.
That's what it looks like. I love it. Love it. Absolutely. Yeah. No, just keep banging the drum. Keep giving confidence to the troops, because that's really the only thing that can take us out is us losing our own confidence. Because we do have the numbers. We do have the the cultural infrastructure to some degree. Again, we got to work on some things, but yeah, we flexed and it worked. You just need to hold that ground.
Oh yeah, brother. I'm glad that you were able to come on the show and all. I'm glad to have you on and to talk about this. I really am excited to have you on and I want to continue to work with you and whatever you need, brother. I'm here for you. And let's get this word out and that campaign going. And also, let's get Roger Stone out of prison.
Roger Stone did nothing wrong. Don't forget
Hell
that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, make the noise. Again, if there's nothing else you can do than getting on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and making yourself heard, that's good enough. Don't ever think that's not enough in the world. If you can't get to somewhere, you can't make a thing, or you don't have the money, you don't have. We all still have a voice, until you don't, until they squeeze you off, and then we'll all bump into each other on Gab or something. But if you still got a platform to be heard in the world, this is the moment to use it and go heavy, because that's one of the ways they seem like they're so big. They control Facebook, they control Twitter, and they use it a lot. So they're actually literally building. They're small in numbers, but they're well organized. And the more we do that, the stronger we become. The easier it is to counter this.
Hell yeah,
So
brother.
CHHA 2020.
Hell yeah.
It's been an honor and a pleasure. Certainly appreciate your show, and I look forward to the next one. We'll catch you up. Hopefully, again, 420 is our deadline to get on the ballot. So around there, we should chat again. And I'll let you know if we made it over that hurdle or what has come of the campaign.
I'll like to hear everything. Just keep me up to date. You can find me at Facebook at Thomas Santo Pascal or Daryl can give you the info. So,
We'll connect this evening. Fantastic. All right. You take good care. Make America hemp again. Make America great again. It's the same thing, really.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Thanks. Keep the fire of freedom alive. One love. Catch up again soon.